I've recently discovered that people are saying that I must be more credible because I'm a Democrat who happens to be married to a man.
Why did you want to interview Hunter Biden's adult children?
Going after the enormous amount of inequity and injustice in our tax system.
Is yesterday's testimony of the whistleblowers in the Hunter Biden IRS thing worse for Hunter Biden than crack cocaine? Find out more on this episode of Daily Caller Live coming up right now. My name is Jobob. Daily Caller Live starts right now. Here we go!
That might be the only brown guy on earth named Jobob.
That is actually her name, Jobob.
Live from the dingy bunker, completely cut off from the outside world, except for you fine folks. My name is Jobob. This is Daily Caller Live. Thanks so much for tuning in on today. It is Thursday, July 20th, the year of our Lord 2023. Was yesterday's whistleblower testimony in front of Congress the worst thing for Hunter Biden since all of the other terrible things Hunter Biden has done? Got so many highlights from that. And also, just to say that we're not going to do that entirely on this show, even though we're going to go heavily into it, the New York Times, interestingly enough, is now admitting, along with the CDC, that COVID deaths were overcounted, especially during the height of the pandemic. Why didn't anyone say that? Why was nobody talking about, that's because you would get banned from the internet for saying anything like that. But we'll talk about that a little bit later on. First and foremost, we have to get to this. Is this worse for Hunter than crack cocaine? Probably this is worse. If you're not hip to the situation, Hunter Biden pled guilty to some misdemeanor tax thing that really was, I think, insignificant in terms of the crime itself. But there were several other crimes that went overlooked, in case you missed that whole story. Now, there are two big-time whistleblowers in the IRS who were assigned to this case saying, wait a minute, a lot of this stuff doesn't add up. One, we only charged Hunter with a misdemeanor when we should have charged him with the felony crime. And also, we were thwarted in our attempts to interview Hunter, to talk to people around him, to do our due diligence to actually make sure this crime is solidified. Those people are now whistleblowers from the IRS testifying in front of Congress that they did yesterday. It was long, it was informative, it was interesting, and very, very bad for Hunter Biden, to say the least. Now, I got a bunch of clips that I'm going to play for you from this. But first and foremost, I think the credibility of the whistleblowers has a lot to do with, whether or not we believe them. Obviously, that's what credibility means. But up until yesterday, one of the whistleblowers was anonymous, nameless, faceless individual that we all were told had some sort of credentials. Turns out he does. Guy by the name of Joe Ziegler. If you're looking at on the screen, the guy with the beard, yesterday finally showed his face, I guess exactly what happened, but was brought to the forefront when testifying in front of a congressional committee. The other guy, Shapley, has been on various talk shows talking about him being a whistleblower. But because kind of all the focus is on this new guy, I wanted to play a clip from his opening testimony. And you tell me if this guy sounds like a political hack that is out to get the Bidens and just wants to do anything to bring down Joe Biden. Because there are people like that. There are partisans out there that all they want to do is bring down the Bidens, in the same way that there are people out there that all they want to do is bring down Trump, and therefore will trump up charges and or make up stories to accomplish that goal. I want you to know if this guy seems like that kind of individual. Watch this.
I was the lead IRS case agent on the Hunter Biden investigation. I've recently discovered that people are saying that I must be more credible because I'm a Democrat who happens to be married to a man. I'm no more credible than this man sitting next to me due to my sexual orientation or my political beliefs. The truth is, my credibility comes today from my job experience with the IRS and my intimate knowledge of the agency's standard and procedures. I was raised and have always strived to do what is right. Although I do have my supporters, others have said that I am a traitor to the Democratic Party and that I am causing more division in our society. I implore you to consider that if you were in my position with the facts as I have stated them, ask yourself if you would be doing the exact same thing. I hope that I am an example to other LGBTQ people out there who are questioning doing the right thing at the potential cost of themselves and others. We should always do the right thing, no matter how painful the process might be. On that note, I would like to make another statement that I have not accepted a single payment from anyone for being a whistleblower.
So just curious, in the comment section, or I guess, yeah, the comment section is the only way to do it. Let me know if you think that that guy is credible and things that he is saying are likely true, or if he is a political hack with the sole ambition of taking down the Bidens. I would bet that, I would say that he's probably the latter. Sorry, no, the former. Dang it. Gosh, darn, the former. He is the guy. I'm trying to read an article here and also talk. Sometimes doesn't work out well. He does not seem like a political hack solely hell-bent on taking down the Bidens. He seems like a person who is compelled by the truth and morality to say, yeah, none of this is okay. He went on in his opening statement, this is from Fox News, to testify this. Hunter Biden should have been charged with tax felony and not only a tax misdemeanor charge, and that communication and text message reviewed by investigators may have contradicted what President Biden said about not being involved in Hunter Biden's overseas business dealings. We'll get to the questions about who is the big guy, but know that his big thing is Hunter Biden should have been charged with a felony and not a misdemeanor. And all of the evidence points to the fact that there was some nefarious activity maybe going on at the upper levels of why they were not allowed to pursue felony charges for Hunter Biden. Watch one more clip and then we will discuss some of the actual hearing itself. Check it out.
In so, they were recommending for approval felony and misdemeanor charges for the 2017, 18, and 19 tax years. That did not happen here, and I am not sure why. And as to the special as the special agent on this case, I thought the felony charges were well supported. When considering the elements of felony tax case, under the criminal code, there are two key considerations: willfulness and tax due and owing. In the criminal context, willfulness is defined as voluntary, intentional violation of a known legal duty. The tax loss is the monetary loss to the government. In early 2020, Hunter Biden's unfiled and delinquent tax returns were being prepared, which included his 2018 tax return. During the 2020 time period, by Hunter Biden's own account, he was sober, newly married, and writing his memoir. Hunter Biden's accountants requested that he sign a representation letter stating that all the deductions were for business purposes and were being reported appropriately. Statements Hunter Biden made in his book completely contradicted what he was deducting as business deductions on his 2018 return.
So some potential huge problems there. He goes on to testify that on several instances, prosecutors did not follow the ordinary process, slow-walked the investigations, and put in place unnecessary approvals and roadblocks from effectively and efficiently investigating the case, including prosecutors blocking questioning the interviewing of Hunter Biden's adult children. Bottom line is, this guy is saying, hey, these are some pretty big problems, and in so many ways. Can you think about that? Imagine dealing with a bureaucrat. A government employee, lifelong bureaucrat trying to put roadblocks in the way. They can do that forever. Like, imagine going to the DMV or any other time that you have to deal with the government as a whole. If they say, you need this form to fill out and go fill that out and then you can come back. And then the next time they say, okay, you filled out the wrong form. It's the backside. So go fill out the backside of this form. And then you fill out that part. And they come back and say, all right, now I have to take it to get my manager's approval. The bottom line is they can do that forever. So adding additional approvals, what did he say? Approvals, slow walking the investigation, unnecessary roadblocks. Yeah, that would be interference, I think, at the highest level, if that's what he's talking about. Now, to kind of move through this relatively quickly, let's see. Holy cow, where did it go? Did I not have it? Oh, here we go. Even the mainstream media is now covering this. Yesterday, he did, after the testimony, well, I don't know when the interview was specifically, but after the testimony he gave in front of Congress, CBS aired an interview with this guy, Joe Ziegler, on their evening news. When asked about Hunter Biden's children, why he wanted to interview them, listen to what he said. Check it out.
Why did you want to interview Hunter Biden's adult children?
So a lot of the business deductions, expenses related to the adult children.
Did you get the approvals?
So we never received the approvals to talk to those people.
What did the assistant U.S. attorney tell you?
That's going to get us into hot water.
Is that in the IRS handbook, avoiding hot water?
No, but I mean, I was asking to do these certain things, and roadblock after roadblock was put up in front of me.
Dang. I like that question too. Is getting in hot water a part of something that you should avoid as an IRS investigator? Yeah, no, it is not. Ziegler, during his testimony, also confirmed that between 2014 and 2019, the Biden family, and this is part of why he wanted to interview Hunter Biden's children, received approximately, get ready for this, $17 million from Romania, China, and other foreign countries. Chairman Comer asked, what were the Bidens selling? And then he answered his own question. Said nothing but influence and access to the Biden network. Let me see if there's more of this that I wanted to get to specifically. But the bottom line, and I think what we're all trying to get to, is at the end of the tunnel here, the actual tax crime for Hunter and the repayment of those taxes or the charges filed with those taxes is not the actual issue. It's whether or not the administration, Joe Biden himself, or people within the administration stopped anybody from looking into Hunter Biden's taxes. In case you missed that, that's the whole thing. At the end of the day, I don't care if Hunter Biden owes an extra $1 million, which is a crazy amount of money, $17 million in the course of 5 years. That's a lot of money. But even then, you know, it is what it is. Hunter Biden's not running for president. Hunter Biden does not have any power. The question lies in whether or not the current administration attempted to stop the IRS from looking into it, which is a massive problem. You want to talk about corruption? That's it. Last kind of clip I want to play from this. Well, no, it's not. Check this out. This is when he's asked about the big guy. There's some other clips in there that. Wow. This is when he's asked about the big guy. Who is the big guy, and what was the significance of the big guy and the big guy's role in all of this? Check this out.
On the day of action, you guys were intending to interview 12 people, one of whom was Rob Walker, a business associate of Hunter Biden. And in particular, you wanted to talk about, I think the quote is, 10 held by H for the big guy,
Yep.
right? So who did you infer that the big guy may be?
So all I can do is speak to the evidence there. What I can say is, I think I know what you're referring to is when we're preparing for that interview and we're referencing that email, 10 held by H for the big guy. And from what I understand, that to be his dad, President Biden.
Okay, so I'm sorry, I just want to ask Mr. Shapley a similar question, because the AUSA Wolf interjected, and I'm reading from your transcript now, and said she did not want to ask about the big guy, and stated she did not want to ask questions about dad, quote, in quotes. Who did you take dad to be when she refers to dad?
The father of the subject is President Biden.
President Biden. And so even by her response, she's inferring that Joe Biden may be involved in Hunter Biden's transactions.
Yeah, dang. This is going to get wild. This is also kind of interesting. Shapley, who's the guy who was being asked second there about the big guy, said that warrants were as ready take two. The warrants were ready as early as April 2020, but the Delaware USAO pushed them off until November 2020 election and then never pursued them. There were warrants, and the investigators wanted to investigate more as early as April 2020, and the powers that be pushed it off until around the election. And then that's when you get into this whole other thing about the transition team, the Bidens, and Hunter's attorneys all being tipped off about the investigation, and therefore avoiding the interview process in its entirety. So there is that. There are some more clips. There's one more that I do want to play specifically about kind of the pushback. But first, I'd like to give you this, a tasty little morsel of a treat of AOC. Thinking, how can we make this about Donald Trump? Now, I believe if I ordered these clips correctly, the first clip here that you're about to hear is AOC saying, why does this matter? Let me play the clip and we'll discuss on the other side. If I mix them up, then it's about Trump, but I'm pretty sure this is why does this matter?
If Republicans truly want to get to the fact here, and they want to understand why Mr. Weiss decided to charge Hunter Biden the way he did, let's hear from Mr. Weiss. But until then, we must move on from these theories and focus on the issues that matter to the American people, like ending the scourge of gun violence that is plaguing our country, confronting and combating the climate crisis, and standing up for our constitutional rights, and yes, going after the enormous amount of inequity and injustice in our tax system. And with that, I yield back to the chair.
Can you believe, can you imagine having to defend this or trying to deflect? What she's effectively saying is, this stuff doesn't matter enough for us to be taking our time doing it. And look, she doesn't believe that. She knows it. But she has to play the part as a member of the Democratic Party, and you have to cover for your own, I guess. That's like a thing that you have to do. She doesn't believe that no time should be wasted on this. And simply by the irony / hypocrisy of the fact that we're talking about a rich person who owes millions of dollars in taxes. Isn't AOC the one last year at the Met Gala that wore the dress that said tax the rich? This is the rich. We're complaining about his taxes. We're saying that he tried to avoid taxes. In what way is this not directly up your alley? But because it's a Democrat, she's got to pretend that, oh, this doesn't matter at all. No, this is not a thing. What a weird position to be in. What else did she say in there? We're not focused on climate change, things the American people care about. Nobody cares about climate change. And I'm not saying that, well, literally nobody cares. In terms of the priorities ranked on like lists of issues that people care about, I'm not even taking a stance on climate change here. But just statistically from the polling, literally nobody cares. It's like 20th on the issues polling list of like things that you care about. Thing number one inflation and my money and taxes and healthcare and everything else is ahead of climate change. So I don't know. I just thought that was funny. But of course, she goes on to make another case of which I just think is adorable, that this is still a thing. How can we make this about Trump? Watch this.
And when we talk about political influence, we are not here today, unfortunately, because the facts have brought us here. We are here today because Donald Trump is exerting an influence campaign in Congress when he is no longer president of the United States.
We are not here because of the facts. We are here because Donald Trump has an influence campaign inside. You're right. You're right, sweetheart. Nobody has any sense of truth at all in this. All of this is made up. The facts don't support it. These guys, these whistleblowers, aren't putting their careers on the line, especially the gay Democrat who said himself he understands the risk to himself socially, but feels obligated to do this because it's just the right thing to do. Yeah, none of that is factual. This is all just bunk, and we should move on. And the reason we're doing it is because Donald Trump. Hilarious. I will say this, frequent correspondent Ryan here. Do not do this. 100% do not attempt this. He says, I bet money if I contacted AOC saying I had info on Trump Jr. using business write-offs to pay hookers, I would be on an airplane to I would have an airplane ticket to DC tonight. Do not do that. That would be a bad thing for you to do. Hilarious, but also bad. But also hilarious. Don't do it. Maybe. Hilarious. Paula says, influence campaign. Yeah. There's a lot of people in the comment section that a lot of you watch every day, and I really, really appreciate it. Jody says, OMG, she's truly ignorant. I don't know. I actually don't know about this. I don't know if she's ignorant or just she's just lying. I think it's the lying part, which is worse. If the options are dumb or evil, being dumb is better than being evil. And at this point, in this particular situation, AOC, I think, is smart enough to know that this is a legitimate thing and she probably should take it seriously. However, partisan politics requires that she doesn't, so she isn't. Last clip I want to play from this is this. Kind of in that same vein of imagine trying to defend Hunter Biden. This is ranking member of the committee, Congressman Raskin, trying to make a rhetorical play here, and it gets shut down pretty quickly and pretty effectively, in my opinion. Watch this.
It seems to me this October 7th, 2022 meeting, which you've described as a red line, is just a misunderstanding. That after the U.S. Attorney in D.C. declined to partner on the 14 and 15 charges, Mr. Weiss took a good hard look at those charges himself and ultimately decided not to charge them and therefore not to seek the special attorney status. He may have been right about that. He may have been wrong, as you guys make your case for, but it was his decision. Isn't that right, Mr. Shapley?
No, that's not supported by the facts.
Really? Well, which facts is it not supported by?
His own admissions in the October 7th, 2022 meeting that I documented contemporaneously, and the only piece of
But he contradicts what you're saying. Do you agree that? He doesn't agree with what you're saying about that meeting. Now, I wasn't at that October 7th, 2022 meeting.
That's an interesting. So Raskin apparently is good at this whole committee thing. He realizes he's met with severe opposition and then just talks through it. He doesn't agree, right? Okay, and then I wasn't at that meeting. But also, what can you do? You're in a bad situation that is unwinnable. So that's pretty much that ultimately. The entirety of that, which leaves us not all that much time to talk about this other thing. But the bottom line here is it is looking increasingly like the Biden administration interceded in the investigation into one of the family members of the chief executive of the United States of America, which is a huge problem. Here's my hot take. Hot take. You ready for the hot take? The hottest of hot takes is that the 2024 presidential election will be between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, both in prison. Winner gets to pardon themselves. It's not out of the realm of possibility at this point, which is crazy. But that's my prediction. The hot take prediction is that Donald Trump will run against Joe Biden. Both of them will be in jail, and the winner gets to pardon themselves of all of the crimes they did or did not commit. Anyways, I want to move on to this before we get before we leave for the day. At the risk of being demonetized, because that's how this goes. Well, and because the past would tell you that that's where this sort of conversation would lead. I wanted to bring you this. This is a tweet from some doctor talking about this. This is entirely transitioning into COVID numbers. After relentlessly calling it a conspiracy theory, the New York Times now admits authorities overcounted COVID deaths and overhyped the pandemic. About 1/3 of official COVID deaths, or hundreds of thousands of deaths, were not due to COVID. According to the New York Times, they are now admitting that. This is from the article. COVID's toll, to be clear, has not fallen to zero. Duh, we know that. The CDC's main COVID website estimates that about 80 people per day have been dying from the virus in recent weeks, which is equal to about 1% of the overall daily deaths, which to me that seems like a thing that we just have to deal with. But then it says this: the official number was probably an exaggeration because it includes some people who had the virus when they died, even though it was not the underlying cause of death. Other CDC data suggests that almost 1/3 of official recent COVID deaths have fallen into this category. A study published by the Clinical Infectious Diseases came to similar conclusions. Nobody was ever saying that. Can you believe that? I can't believe that. Nobody claimed that COVID was overcounted. That's just a shock to me. I wish it was a shock. That would be so cool if things were shocking in that realm. The problem is everybody could have seen this coming, and if you talked about it at the time, you were banished from the internet and media as a whole, and turns out you can check another box for the conspiracy theorists being right about things. Okay, well, and on that note, probably don't need to discuss that much more. That's just kind of information that everybody probably already knew. But on that note, that'll do it for us today. I know we spent a lot of time talking about Hunter Biden, but I do think it's important. So yeah. Let's see. If you haven't already, give me a follow on any of your social media platforms. Just type in JOBOB pretty much anywhere. This is like a soft announcement. September 23rd, I will be in the Fallbrook area, North County, San Diego, at a theater doing a comedy show with the Elephant Party Improv Group and myself. Let's see. October 6th, we'll be in Van Buren, Arkansas. October 7th, we'll be in Tulsa, Oklahoma. November 17th, we'll be in Twin Falls, Idaho. If you are in any of those areas and would like to see a hilarious stand-up show plus some truly funny improv actors, do you call improvisational actors? You can come check that out. Again, September 23rd in Fallbrook, October 6th in Arkansas, Van Buren, Arkansas, October 7th in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and November 17th in Twin Falls, Idaho. If you're in any of those areas, you can get information by following me anywhere on social media. Just type in JOBOB, be able to find me pretty much on all of the social media platforms. And yeah, that'll do it. We will see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Have a great rest of your day. God bless America.